Humans have always stared at the stars with a specific kind of restless curiosity. We are explorers by nature, driven by a physical need to see what lies beyond our current horizon. This ancient obsession with the sky eventually turned into a high-stakes, expensive race across the vacuum of space. Today, that competition pushes our technology and our very definition of human capability to much harder, more dangerous limits. Spaceflight started on the windy dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, in 1903. The Wright brothers managed to get a fragile wood and fabric machine airborne for just 12 seconds. While the flight covered only 120 feet, that short burst of controlled, powered flight proved humans could actually leave the ground. It broke the physical limits that had kept us stuck on Earth for thousands of years. Decades later, flight moved beyond the atmosphere toward the edge of space. In 1999, American physicist Robert Goddard published his paper, A Method of Reaching Extreme Altitudes. He argued that rockets could generate enough thrust to reach the moon. His math proved that the vacuum of space isn't a barrier to travel, but a place we can actually reach. This changed how we view the limits of our reach. In 1926, Robert Goddard turned theory into reality on a farm in Auburn, Massachusetts. He launched the first liquid-fueled rocket, a small experimental craft that hissed as it rose into the air. Though the flight lasted only seconds, it served as a successful demonstration of the liquid propulsion technology he had long envisioned. Technology took a grim turn during World War II. In 1942, Germany's V-2 rocket shot upward, becoming the first human-made object to pierce the Kármán line and reach space at 100 kilometers. While engineers built it as a weapon of terror, the launch proved we had developed the raw power needed to reach the edge of the atmosphere. It was a violent, unplanned leap into the cosmos. After the fighting stopped in 1945, the race for scientific dominance took over. Through Operation Paperclip, the United States recruited captured German rocket scientists to develop American weapons. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union worked quickly to seize their own share of German technical expertise. This direct competition between two superpowers defined the early Cold War and drove the most intense technological rivalry in history. Before rockets could ever reach orbit, we first had to master the physics of the speed of sound. In 1947, Chuck Yeager famously flew the Bell X-1 through the sound barrier, proving that stable supersonic flight was actually possible. This historic flight demonstrated that the intense atmospheric pressure and aerodynamic drag encountered at high speeds were just technical problems to solve if we ever wanted to reach the much higher velocities required for orbital flight. On October 4, 1957, a rhythmic, steady beep started broadcasting from space. The Soviet Union had launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite, putting a small metal sphere into orbit around Earth. This event caused immediate panic across the West, as the launch proved the Soviet Union could reach new heights, effectively starting the space race and fundamentally altering the landscape of global technological competition. On November 3, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 2, an event that expanded the scope of their space program. This mission carried Laika, a dog from Moscow, into orbit. While the mission demonstrated that a living creature could endure the launch into space, Laika did not survive the flight. Her journey marked a significant, yet tragic, milestone in early space exploration. The US created NASA on July 29, 1958, to catch up to Soviet progress. When Explorer 1 launched later, its instruments found the massive, invisible Van Allen radiation belts. This discovery changed how we view Earth's environment and showed that American scientists could actually compete with the Soviets. It was a clear scientific win that moved the space race forward through hard data. In January 1959, the Soviet Union pushed further into space by launching Lunar 1. This spacecraft was the first man-made object to escape Earth's gravity and fly past the moon. The mission proved that human-made machines could navigate deep space, showing that we could actually reach beyond Earth's orbit and travel toward other celestial bodies. Throughout 1959, the Soviet lunar program continued its lunar exploration following the success of Luna 1, which was the first man-made object to escape Earth's gravity. Subsequent missions were launched to further investigate the lunar environment. These early efforts established the foundation for the Soviet Union's ongoing attempts to study the moon. In October 1959, the Lunar 3 mission photographed the far side of the moon. This provided the first look at a lunar landscape that had remained hidden from Earth for all of human history. The resulting images showed a rugged, cratered surface, which fundamentally changed how we understand the moon's geography and its physical structure. In 1960, the launch of TIROS-1 marked a new era in Earth observation. As the first weather satellite, it allowed scientists to monitor cloud patterns and storms from orbit. This advancement in meteorology provided a new perspective on our planet's atmosphere, laying the groundwork for the satellite-based weather forecasting used today. Cold War tensions peaked on April 12, 1961, as the world watched a single, high-stakes orbit. Yuri Gagarin, aboard Vostok 1, finished one full revolution around Earth in 10.8 minutes. Being the first human to experience weightlessness, Gagarin became an immediate icon of the space age. His flight changed how we viewed our place in the universe. The United States responded on May 5, 1961, with the Freedom 7 mission, launching Alan Shepard into space. Although his 50-minute suborbital flight did not achieve a full orbit, the mission demonstrated that Americans could survive the conditions of spaceflight during this period of intense competition. On May 25, 1961, President John F. Kennedy spoke to a joint session of Congress. He set a specific, difficult goal, landing a person on the moon and bringing them back safely to Earth. This ambitious mission required massive funding and new technology, forcing the United States to reorganize its entire scientific and industrial approach to meet the deadline. In 1961, the Soviet Union tested how much the human body could actually take when German Titov stayed in orbit for over 25 hours. This flight proved that people could survive long stretches of weightlessness and the physical strain of space. Titov's mission showed that staying in space for days, not just minutes, was a real possibility. In February 1962, the United States reached orbital parity when John Glenn climbed into the Friendship 7 capsule. By completing 3 successful orbits around the Earth, Glenn's mission gave a desperate nation a much-needed psychological win during the intense space race. His calm, steady reports from the cockpit brought the high-stakes reality of spaceflight directly into millions of American living rooms. In July 1962, the launch of Telstar 1 marked a new era for satellite technology. This satellite enabled the first live, transatlantic television broadcast, transmitting images across the Atlantic Ocean. By facilitating instantaneous communication between continents, the mission demonstrated the potential for space-based systems to transform global connectivity. Planetary exploration changed fundamentally in December 1962 when Mariner 2 completed the first successful flyby of another planet. The spacecraft passed through Venus's thick atmosphere, sending back the first close-up data from a neighboring world. This historic mission proved that we could actually navigate vast interplanetary distances with robots to study the solar system's complex mechanics. In 1963, Valentina Tereshkova launched into orbit, proving women could handle spaceflight. She spent nearly 3 days orbiting Earth, becoming the first woman to navigate the vacuum of space. Her mission changed the trajectory of the Soviet space program, showing that orbital flight wasn't just a male domain, but a capability shared by all humans. The lunar race was a series of mechanical failures and unexpected wins, like the 1964 Ranger 7 mission. Even though the spacecraft crashed into the moon, it sent back the first high-resolution, close-up photos to Earth. These specific images gave NASA the reconnaissance data required to plan the much more difficult manned landings that followed later. In March 1965, Soviet cosmonaut Alexei Leonov achieved the first extravehicular activity in history. During this landmark mission, Leonov exited his spacecraft to perform a spacewalk, demonstrating that humans could operate outside a pressurized vessel. This Soviet success set the stage for the intense competition of the mid-1960s space race. In June 1965, the United States reached a new milestone when Wright exited the Gemini 4 capsule. Wright spent 23 minutes drifting in the vacuum, proving NASA could handle extravehicular activity. This mission demonstrated that American engineers were successfully advancing their capabilities in EVA technology during the ongoing space race. In July 1965, the Mariner 4 mission reached Mars, providing the first close-up images of the planet. The spacecraft captured photos of a landscape marked by numerous craters. These early images revealed a surface that lacked the features previously imagined, presenting a starkly different view of the Martian environment through the lens of planetary science. The Soviet Union achieved a milestone in February 1966 with the Lunar 9 mission, which performed the first soft landing on the Moon. This mission successfully transmitted the first images of the lunar surface. Simultaneously, Lunar 10 entered lunar orbit, becoming the first spacecraft to circle the Moon. The United States caught up when Surveyor 1 landed in June 1966, completing the first American soft landing on the Moon. NASA used the mission to photograph lunar terrain and check if the surface could support weight for Apollo. This mission provided the specific engineering data needed to plan the later Apollo landings safely. But reaching the moon required surviving horrific tragedies. The 1967 Apollo 1 fire killed astronauts Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee. This accident on the launch pad proved how lethal spaceflight remains. NASA had to overhaul spacecraft safety protocols immediately. The entire program stopped to mourn and rethink every single procedure they had previously relied on to keep their crews alive. This era's tragedies hit the Soviets too. In April 1967, cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov died during the Soyuz 1 mission when his parachute failed during descent. He became the first person to die during a spaceflight. These two disasters showed the actual lethal cost both the US and USSR were paying to reach orbit. As costs and casualties climbed, 100 nations signed the Outer Space Treaty in 1967. This agreement established that space belongs to everyone and forbids placing weapons of mass destruction in orbit. It created the first real legal rules to stop the stars from turning into a combat zone. This treaty remains the primary way we keep space from becoming another site for war. In December 1968, the Apollo 8 mission sent Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Anders on a journey to the moon. As the first humans to orbit the lunar surface, the crew captured the iconic Earthrise photograph, showing our planet rising over the lunar horizon. This historic mission provided a new, profound perspective of Earth from deep space, highlighting the beauty and fragility of our home. On July 20, 1969, the Apollo 11 Eagle module landed in the Sea of Tranquility. When Neil Armstrong climbed down the ladder to walk on the lunar surface, people across Earth stopped what they were doing. His famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," traveled 384,000 kilometers back to us. It was the moment we proved humans could actually reach another world. This era of exploration went beyond technical milestones. It showed how much humans can achieve through grit and raw intellect. We proved that courage and sacrifice allow us to leave our terrestrial origins behind. The space race demonstrated that even with our feet on Earth, we are capable of reaching the stars, proving our potential to transcend our planetary boundaries.